Yes, good morning. It is that time of the week again. My early start at work. It's 5:58 and it's 21 Celsius. Yes, it is really that warm today. Let's hope I don't melt. But we are talking fragrances, of course. It's another fragrance drive along. And what are we talking about today? Well, I thought probably a good one to talk about is when does a hobby become an obsession? A Calvin Klein obsession. There you go. That's a sign that you're too much into fragrances. Basically, I'm sort of looking at signs that I knew, but maybe my interest in fragrances had gone beyond just sort of, say, smelling nice. Because let's be honest, that's the first reason why you buy fragrances, is to smell nice, to make yourself more presentable, and yeah, just feel good in yourself and for other people around you. But it's obviously for myself, who's now filming me talking about fragrances, buying loads of fragrances. It's become probably more of an obsession than just a general thing. It's certainly become a hobby, let's say. So I want to look at maybe some of the signs, the telltale signs that show you that your fragrance hobby is now a bit more of an obsession, and certain things that I picked up on that I've done that have made me realise, yeah, actually I think I probably do like it a lot. Now the first one, of course, is you buy more and more fragrances when you don't need them. So I think at one point in my collection I had about 80 fragrances at one go. You can't wear 80 fragrances at one time, and I've still got fragrances in my collection where, to be honest, I've had them for probably about 3 years and I don't see myself getting through them in 3 more years time. They're only gone down about 10-15 mil, because you tend to find other smells that you like and you just want to treat yourself, and you end up buying more and more, and you think, oh well, I might just get that one as well as a birthday present to myself, or I've just smelt it in the shop, it was such a good price, that you end up keep getting it. So that's probably the main thing I've noticed with myself. My collection just got bigger and bigger over time. If someone says something really nice about a certain fragrance, I'd probably end up buying that one again when I don't even need it. And yeah, that's certainly a telltale sign when your collection gets bigger. Another sign is when you recognise what other people are wearing. Now, I don't necessarily mean to them. Say you've got a family member at home that's got a certain fragrance, and it's not, or it's a niche fragrance, for example, and you can already detect what it is. Now, you'll be amazed how many people actually really know what certain scents are. So I walked past a woman the other day who was wearing, whether it was the original or not, it was Baccarat Rouge. That was the smell. I can guarantee you now, not a huge amount of people, if you walk down the street, more people will not know what Baccarat Rouge is than will know. You know, if you're someone who's into fragrances, you'll go, oh, that's really obvious. But you'd be amazed at how little people know. They really don't know much about fragrances. So yeah, when you start to recognise scents, particularly more niche ones as well, not saying Baccarat Rouge is, but certain brands, then yeah, you're definitely a bit more of they got a bit more of an obsession with fragrances. The other thing is when you start using terms such as fougere and gourmand. Now, I don't think my mum and dad, when I first mentioned that, ever had a clue what I meant by that, and I probably still don't now. And if you walk down the street and say to someone, oh, I've got a nice fougere fragrance, or I'm looking for a fougere fragrance, yeah, not many people are going to necessarily know what you mean. And it's yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? They're good terms. I like those terms, but now I couldn't imagine just saying like you know, a shaving cream fragrance or a sweet fragrance. I'd always say gourmand or fougere. It's just what you get used to saying. Start watching YouTube videos. So I remember when I was getting into them, I was trying to find the next. Sorry, I've got something in my throat this morning. It's really dry, I think, outside. Hay fever. But yes, you know, when you're watching YouTube videos for beast mode scents, you know all those terms, beast mode, and you know, you're looking for bargain compliment getters and all these things. You know, I knew I was getting into it. I used to watch quite a lot of the videos, and I could quite happily sit there or play darts for half an hour while listening to fragrance videos. And when you go on there over time, you realise actually they just repeat the same ones a lot of the time. They've got offers and deals or sponsorships with brands that yeah, kind of rip you off a little bit, really. But again, it's all subjective. Another thing for me is I'm constantly on eBay. So when I was in, I probably shouldn't really say this, but when I was in wasn't my last job now, it was about 5 or 6 years ago, when I was really getting into fragrances, because I worked on a holiday park, it was very quiet during the, you know, when schools were in not holiday season, when it was actual term times. and I'd honestly just be standing behind the tent where I was working, because I didn't have anyone on my session, just bidding on fragrances. So, you know, I was like, oh, do you know what, should I get that gift set? You know, and you're watching, you've got 5 minutes to go before this offer ends, and I've got another offer on this. That's when you know you've got a bit of an obsession as well, as when you're on eBay and you're just constantly like bidding for fragrances. You know as well what's a good price and what's not a good price anymore. I think that probably leads to the next one, really, is when you start spending a lot more. It's not just getting more fragrances, because you can get loads of cheap ones, but when you then start to go, do you know what, I'm going to buy that Tobacco Vanille, or I'm going to buy that, you know, Lost Cherry, or it doesn't have to be Tom Ford, it could be a Creed fragrance. That's when you know you're getting into it. Not people who are not into fragrances and don't have a real interest in it, and not going to go and spend, you know, ridiculous money on fragrances, because let's be honest, they are an investment. You could buy 3 or 4 Creeds and spend well over £1,000. So that's probably why I go to eBay most of the time when I can and get unboxed versions. Another one for me is when the fragrance becomes the most important thing on a night out. So when I say a night out, you know, there's been plenty of situations where I've either tried to impress someone, or, you know, go to a work to do or something, where I want my fragrance always to be the important thing. It's the thing I think about before what I wear, even. And, you know, for most people it'd be like what they've done with their hair, or what they're wearing as clothing. For me, it tends to be my fragrances, and probably more so, again, that shows more of my obsession now is, obviously I just mentioned earlier on, going on holiday soon, and I already know what fragrances I'm going to take. I don't have a clue what clothes I'm going to take, but I'm like, right, I'm going to take this fragrance because I think it's going to work for this occasion, you know, when we do this, this and this, and it's going to give me those scent memories. So yeah, that's probably a sign that I'm more into fragrances than it just being a bit of a casual thing to make you smell nice. Other one, yeah, I'm going to say this. I am going to say this. I'm hoping my brother and my parents will watch this. When you start spraying your family members spray, so whenever my mum, dad, or brother get a new fragrance, I'm quite impatient, let's say. I don't wait for them to come and tell me what it smells like, or wait for them to get with what they're wearing. I'll probably go and sneak into their room and try their fragrances. It's not just for the fragrance videos I do, you know, obviously I do my reviews on here. Even if I wasn't filming myself, I still go upstairs and I try a few fragrances, let's say, that they've got, because I'm always just fascinated. I'm always fascinated to know what something smells like. And yeah, to be honest with you, 90% of the time you think, oh, actually it's okay, but it takes a lot for you to get those wow factors. And I still remember when I first smelled Amen, that was one of the first fragrances my dad owned where I was like, yeah, this has got a wow factor about it. It's brilliant. Come on, car, I want to overtake as well. There's a lot of buses and vans on the roads today. There's so many events going on elsewhere around the half term and bank holiday weekend that, yeah, there's rides and all sorts going on. So what other obsessions are there? For me is when I start rating bottles. Yes, I've had it in plenty of spells where, like, I've bought a fragrance for just the bottle design, and I've even kept a few just because I've liked the bottles as well, so it's almost having like a fragrance display. I wanted to do that a little bit more, but eventually, because I was buying too many fragrances, I just didn't have the room to put them in. And probably another sign of my real interest in fragrances, and again, maybe you could argue this one shows a bit of obsession, is you buy big bottle sizes. I know a lot of people who aren't necessarily as into fragrances, or again, vice versa, you could say this the other way, but they'll only buy 30ml bottles because they don't particularly want to have a fragrance for that long, whereas I'll just get 200ml bottle sizes just like that, you know, because for me, I'd rather go and spend that extra money, get a bottle size that I can have the fragrance for 3 years, even though I know I'm not going to use it for ages, than just get a 30ml and then get through a few more, because I just look at it and go, oh, well, I like the fragrance, I'm sure I'll get through it. I mean, I've got a Bentley for Men Intense, which is only a 100ml bottle, but I've had it for ages. I really have. I've had it for at least 2 years, and I'm nowhere near through it. And obviously now we're into the summer season, I'm pretty certain I'm not going to be wearing it very much this time soon. Another sign, to be honest with you, overspraying. Yes, I mean, would I have sprayed as much as I do now? when I wasn't as into fragrances? Probably not. I mean, what I mean is not so much I'll go and spray 50 sprays in one go. I kind of mean more along the lines of I'll take my fragrance to the gym with me, I'll take my fragrance with, to work. I also, when I arrive at the gym, I tend to spray just before I go in, or just before I start my workout, all those things as well. Obviously, another obsession for me is I've started this YouTube channel. That was completely unexpected. I didn't really plan to be doing any videos after my ultra marathon, but it was when I stopped doing my ultra marathon I thought, actually, I kind of missed doing the videos. I missed that purpose, because I was then going out for runs, not doing, with no purpose, not trying to get to a race. I was obviously then thinking, well, I kind of missed talking to my phone and doing all the editing and stuff, so that's why it continued. I think the other thing that's a sign of my obsession with it is when you start to detect notes. Now, I've got better at that in recent years, no two ways about it. I can detect a patchouli now, or a vetiver now, or anything like that, and that's also a sign. When I think it's really important though with this is that even though I can detect those notes, the most important thing still is a general vibe of what the fragrance actually smells like, because I think a lot of people get so hooked on the top, middle and base, when actually really you get this overall smell. It's never like, oh yes, you might like the note of neroli. Neroli is one of my favourite notes, but do I think it really matters if neroli is part of the fragrance? It's not. It's the overall scent that really matters. So when you're starting to buy fragrances though because of certain notes, I think that is a sign you have a bit more of an obsession. I actually think another one for me is when you start buying more retro fragrances as well, which showed a bit more of my interest, because I was buying a lot of these old school scents that look, was I a biggest fan of them? Did I expect them to be great? No, but I knew that they had something unique about them, and that's what made me buy them. I've said this with leather fragrances before. I've bought a few fragrances where, look, is leather my favourite note? No, I've got an ombre leather cologne by Tom Ford, and that's not because I really like it or it's better than some of the other clones I could have bought, but it's an appreciation of actually, I quite like a leather scent. And there's other fragrances as well, which I think is also a sign when your obsession or your hobby becomes greater, is when your opinion changes a lot. Because I think a lot of people smell a fragrance once and they'll go, oh, I don't like that one, or they really like it and then they go off it. I think over time your nose does change, and that comes normally because you've had a bit of a real interest in fragrances, become more of an obsession essentially. Now, this has been a long drive. It feels like it's been a long drive. It actually hasn't today. So I think we can probably do one more. What's one more sign that I've got an obsession with fragrances? I think probably one of the main things I've noticed with me is how judgmental and analytical you become as well. Is that, like, for me personally now, I'm always judging certain notes and obviously strength, complement, fact, all these things that I do in my reviews. Before you just go, does it smell nice or doesn't it smell nice? Whereas now I'm thinking, well, it doesn't smell nice, but it's got good longevity, or the sillage is really good on this. All these little things that I've become a lot more well-rounded, let's say, with my opinion on certain scents. But yeah, I think I've covered it a lot there. I think I've gone through a lot of points, and I'm hoping that kind of emphasises when a fragrance hobby becomes an obsession. And let me know how you knew. If you're watching this now and you think, actually, I'm quite obsessed with fragrances, I really like fragrances, let me know what things you also picked up on. I mean, another thing for me is when you go to the shops and you're just like constantly using all the testers. I've been in shops before where I've almost feel like they've never mentioned it, but security have hovered around me and my brother just purely on the fact that we've been in the shop for so long and we sprayed so many fragrances. It's almost like you're conning us here, which we're not, but we just absolutely love the scents. So yeah, there's loads of little telltale signs that you might think, oh yeah, that's when I knew I was obsessed with my fragrances. And for me, as I always say, it was when my brother got Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, and I was just like, I am in love with this scent. And yeah, I want to get that one again at some point. Never look back, because they're always an easy compliment to get a fragrances. You don't even have to do your hair, and sometimes you can still say you look nice or you smell nice because of that fragrance. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one today, and yeah, plenty more videos to come, so I'll catch you later.